All right, it's 5 o'clock, so let's go ahead and call to order the work session for the City of East Grand Forks for Tuesday, February 10th, 2026. Just a reminder at the top here that we need to be done today by 6 o'clock due to a special election happening today. So with that, would the City Administrator please call roll?
Mayor Mark Olsted. Here. Council President Brian Larson.
Here.
Council Vice President Tim Riepel.
Here.
Council Members Tammy Schumacher.
Here.
Ben Pokshavinsky.
Here.
Dale Helms. Donald Kazemi. Karen Peterson.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Let's jump into the agenda here. Item number 1 is a presentation from MNDOT on the planned US 2B reconstruction project in 2029. Mr. Huttunen?
All right, thank you, Council President. I'm just working on sharing the screen here. I'm going to start there, Josh. Yep. Okay. With us tonight, Mr. Josh Comstock with the Minnesota DOT to update us on a planned project for 2029 on Highway USB 2 through town.
Yeah, thank you. So what we've got shown on the screen and handout for the council members is just a general overview of the project. So there'll be a signal replacement at 2nd Avenue Northeast, a signal replacement at 2nd Street Northwest, a full concrete reconstruct, so that'll include new sidewalks and new storm sewer in the blue portion on the west, and then the yellow portion is a concrete reconstruct, so that'll be storm sewer and driving surface, but not sidewalks, and then the red portion is a 3-inch bituminous mill and overlay. So that's just kind of freshening up the pavement surface, but not changing anything underneath. So that's a really quick overview of what the project is and where it is. And then we'll switch over to our layout. So this is what we have drawn up for the proposed changes, overviewed with, so that's the big 11 by 17 sheets that you've got. So that's what we're planning over existing. And our main question for you with it is parking. Right now we're planning on keeping parking between Demers and 3rd, and then everything east of that, parking would be removed. The reason that we were looking at that was it doesn't seem like there's a ton of use of the existing parking, and then it would also be a cost savings to the city because MNDOT does charge 10% currently of the width of parking. So that was one of the main reasons for removing parking. And then we were also working with our Americans with Disabilities group. They had recommended having shorter crossings since it's a school zone. So that was another reason that we looked at removing parking. So our main hope is to get some feedback on, so we also wanted to put in the multi-use path in front of the Sacred Heart School, so that here in front of the Sacred Heart School, there currently is no sidewalk facilities. It just ends right at the school, and we're running that now all the way to the signal. So it's going to stop here at 2nd Avenue, and then it'll connect into the city street for the community north of Highway 2B. So that was another reason that we wanted to remove parking on the south side specifically, was to ensure that we had the space within our existing right-of-way to accommodate that school zone. So yeah, I guess my question for the city council is parking important on the north side of the road? Is that something that we should look at keeping? We're pretty set at removing parking on the south side because we need that space to put in the trail for the school. But the main reason for us wanting to be here was to get your thoughts on how much parking is used on the north side of the road and if we should include it or not. So I guess, Abby, I don't know if you had anything that you wanted to run through with the layout itself.
Sure. Do that. So yeah, as Josh mentioned, from Demers to 3rd, we're maintaining the existing cross section, except on the south side it would go to an 8-foot shared use path. So the boulevard would narrow up, which might require some profile changes of the trunk highway. But we are planning to tie back in at Demers to the existing profile. From 3rd going east, we would be putting back a 6-foot walk with a 6-foot boulevard. This green space behind the walk is our existing right-of-way limits. So that would be another conversation that is less important for our road design, but something for you all to keep in mind. If you wanted trees, they could fit behind that sidewalk in MnDOT right-of-way. And on the south side to 2nd Avenue, is it northeast or northwest? Northwest, it's still an 8-foot shared use path. We just couldn't fit the 10-foot path in that segment. But then from 2nd to 2nd, it goes to a 10-foot shared use path, which is our preferred width if we can make it fit, and was requested by the school. So that was what led us down that path. And as Josh mentioned, wraps all the way to the signal. We were in frequent contact with the school, and they shared that they don't really see any parking on their side of the road. So we were pretty confident that that would be a good fit. But then the north side, all the imagery we have does show like 1 or 2 cars parked. But some other city staff that Josh had spoken to shared that they didn't see a huge need there. So we could go either way on it. We're not strongly for removing or for keeping. And yeah, the city council's opinion would be greatly valued so we can move forward with the correct design and avoid as much rework as possible. So yeah, and then from 2nd to 5th would still be a reconstruct, but we were not planning any pedestrian facilities in that highway segment. So it would narrow. There would not be parking, but there also wouldn't be walk added.
Great. Well, thank you very much for the presentation here. Mr. Emery, we'll start with you.
So have you guys looked at from basically 3rd to 2nd or 2nd, maybe even over to Central Avenue? If we were to keep parking on that, I'd call it the east and north side. Like you said, there's a 10% cost share to the city. Do you know what that would be?
The cost participation policy is changing, so it would be less cost to the city with our new cost participation policy. I just can't guarantee that what I brought today is going to be the final because it's not actually been finalized yet. But what we're looking at is about a $80,000 cap. It's like 0.8% of the last 5 years of the city's tax revenue is what the cap would be. So for the city of East Grand Forks, we're looking at $78,000 for a cap right now. So basically how it would work out is you would only have to pay your cost share for one signal, and then everything else that's trunk highway eligible would be covered by the state. So parking wouldn't really cost the city anything extra with this proposed new cost participation policy. I just can't tell you for sure that that's really how it's going to be yet, unfortunately. I wish I had that answer. But the numbers that I put together would be the $78,000 cap for the trunk highway eligible items, which would be lighting, signals, parking. There's a handful of other things that are smaller dollar items. And then the city would still need to pay for any like storm sewer, gas, any city utilities would still be a city cost 100%. So I have my number here of $135,000 is what I'm thinking it's going to cost the city, but there's still quite a few unknowns. So I do have a parking cost in here if we're still on the old cost participation policy, which is not the direction I was given, but wanted to share that anyway, since it's part of our discussion. So we're looking at about $36,000 for keeping all the parking. So it'd be half that if you were to just do it on the north side.
So about 20,000, let's just say, to keep parking on the east and north side.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, that is likely to change where it wouldn't cost the city anything and just be that $80,000 cap. So I think the cost part of it is less on the table now that our state legislature is working to try to save the city some money.
Does that max cap, does that include the signal at 2nd Street Northwest also?
Yeah,
Does it include that?
It's a cap for the project. Every project will be capped at that $78,000.
Okay.
So if that signal were to be its own project, then it would be the $78,000 or the 50-50 split, whichever is less. But since it's wrapped into this project, you're getting a signal for free.
So again, for the council, I mean, this new legislation, whatever, it hasn't passed yet or whatever, but again, he's talking that $78,000 cap. We've been budgeting in your state aid budget, we've been budgeting about probably $700,000 to $800,000 to replace those 2 traffic signals. Plus, we were thinking you were going to have a share of the parking lanes. So, I mean, I was anywhere from $800,000 to $1 million of what we're thinking this project could cost. So, for it to be capped right around $78,000, I mean, it's a huge savings for the city. So, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it'll be really good for the city. It'll save you a lot of money. 'Cause, yeah, my estimate for the city's costs originally had been $624,000, and now it's down to $135,000. So it's substantial.
You can get it down to 0, we'd be a lot happier.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think I'll be able to make that fly, but I'll do my best.
Any other questions, Mr. Emery?
One thing he did bring up too, just, like he said, there is areas, a lot of times we don't like to put trees anymore in the berms between the curb and the sidewalk, but with street right-of-way kind of narrowing up, there's going to be room from the sidewalk to the right-of-way. So if the city did want to put in trees, shrubs in that area, MNDOT does have a landscape partnership program where MNDOT basically would provide the trees and the shrubs. So
Yeah. Now we provide the plant materials at no cost, but then the city would be responsible for the installation costs. And that would be done separate from this project.
Let's go to Mayor Olstead next.
Actually, I have a question for Ben, since that's going to affect him in that area, so I'd like to hear his opinion.
Yeah, thank you. I know we use the parking on the north side of the street there. For my wife owns the business on page 1, on the corner there, Salon 222. We use parking on the front, we use parking on the side. It looks like we're eliminating a parking spot and a half on 3rd Avenue North. We have a lot of elderly clients. It's a hair salon, so they'll come in and whether they've got walkers or they're slower moving, we're eliminating parking that's there. The other parking option is the parking that's across the street. That road's very busy. Between 3rd and going down to basically Sacred Heart. My wife has told me on more than just a few occasions there have been some near-miss pedestrian hits on that street. It's a blind corner. So I'd love to see some sort of pedestrian crosswalk or warning signal there. We get beat trucks just ripping down that road. And I know our residents are careful when crossing that street, but not all the truck drivers are professional quality during that time of the year.
Yeah, we can definitely look into like a rapid flashing beacon and see if we can fit something like that in for people crossing 2B. That's a pretty common tool that we'll implement, so thank you for telling us about that. But yeah, with the parking on 3rd, the reason that we're taking away part of the parking on 3rd is to have that bump out to reduce the pedestrian crossing distance right at the intersection.
Yep.
And having vehicles parking right up at the corners makes it harder for other people, other drivers, to see pedestrians. So that would be the reason that we're looking at removing that. But the bump outs might get removed as we get into design if they don't really fit with the new pavements that we're looking to put in. Sometimes we'll reduce or remove the bump outs. This is just our preferred fix at the moment.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else, Ben?
On the street too.
What's that?
Betters, they park on the street. There's people that.
I'll go to Tim.
Okay.
Yeah, the business right next to it. I'm not sure how much they park. There is between the salon there and then the business. It's right across like I don't know if you'd call it an alley, but it's like a shared road between the two businesses. There's about 6 parking spots between those two businesses. But yeah, parking would be tough there.
Okay.
So
Yeah, and we want to make sure that what we do fits well, so it sounds to me like parking is important on the north side of the road. Okay.
yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I think we'll change our design to keep parking on the north side of the road and continue without parking on the south side. That way we can still accommodate the trail and then accommodate the business needs as well.
Yeah. I can confirm that the south side rarely gets parked on.
Okay.
Besides that parking lot that's across the street, that usually fills up every day.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I think we got what we needed to move forward.
Sure. We'll go to Mr. Riopel here and then Reid here.
Okay.
I don't see the streetlights. How do you cover the streetlights? Is that on your side or is that us?
The streetlights currently are a city utility, so the removals would be a city cost. But a new system would be the state cost. And that would be lighting, $152,000 is part of it. So that would be, the city will have to pay to take down your existing system, and then the state would come in and put in our new system and then give it back to the city. So the city would have the responsibility to maintain it after the new system was in place.
I was wondering, so
Yep.
thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Any other comments?
Just to keep it on your radar, and we've started even to look at it, but we're probably going to want to look at what we have for city infrastructure under the roadway. And what we would do then is we'd prepare the plans for the city infrastructure. Those would get included into MNDOT's bid package and then essentially bid with their project. So we're currently reviewing just to see what we have in there for city infrastructure. So just keep that on your radar.
Great. Yeah, thank you for coming and presenting. Will you be sharing updates to the design as this evolves over the next year or so?
Yep. Yeah. We'll probably get what you have in front of you updated here in the next couple weeks, and I can share it with your city administrator to share with the city council, and you'll probably get sick of seeing me. I'll come out a couple more times.
You're bringing a lot of good news here today.
You save us money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shared use path in front of Sacred Heart, tying into the sidewalks that eventually go to the Louis Murray Bridge, is a huge upgrade. I'll just share here the area by American Crystal Sugar. I think it would be wise to avoid construction there from middle of August through the middle of October. Likely would recommend you put that in your bidding documents, that that section of the road work should be done. Sugar beet harvest is quite a chaotic period here, and we don't want to impact that.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time.
Yes. This is exciting. Okay. With that, let's move on to our next agenda item. Request to proceed with advertising for facility improvement project bid package number 2. Mr. King and guests.
Thank you, Council President, City Council, and Mayor. With me today, I have Meg Marshall from JLG and Tom McDonald from Construction Engineers. And we're going to give you an update on the facility improvements projects and ultimately looking for a request to proceed with bid package number 2. The steering committee has been working with JLG and Construction Engineers on the facility improvement project at both sites, the Civic Center and the VFW Arena. We're close to completing the DD, or the design development phase of this project, and transitioning it into the CD, or construction document phase. Today we'll go over kind of a high-level overview of where we've narrowed down the scope of this project, and then also give you an estimated budget on where those numbers are coming at right now. Advertising for bid package 2 at this time will help keep the budget on, or the project on schedule, and help get better, more competitive bid pricing. At this time, there would be no immediate budget impact associated with advertising for bid. We'll bring back a GMP once we have those bid documents completed and when we're closer to the construction design, or the construction documents. We'll go over the Civic Center site, the VFW site, and then and go over the estimated budget summary. So we will start at the Civic Center site. Scope for the Civic Center sites include adding handrails to the stairs inside the Civic Center, multiple door upgrades, including replacing some doors, some of them frames, some of them slabs, some of them just hardware. Mechanical system replacement upgrades, including the removal of the existing equipment that's listed below, the new boilers and new pumps and anything associated with that type of piping. Updating air handler units and any of the existing ductwork that's already within the rink and any of that associated piping. For electrical upgrades, removal of the existing equipment, power to the new equipment, and then installing automatic transfer switches for the possibility of a future generator, and fire alarm upgrades. Along on the exterior, or the envelope of the building, replacement of the existing west parking lot with a new size, replacement of the existing parking lot out front of the building and the main entrance, replacement of the sidewalks to the main entrance, and then replacement of the resurfaced driveway, the back entrance that the employees park at, where the Zamboni entrance is, replacement of that, along with the new trench drain system for that new resurfacing driveway to help stormwater drainage. Just to give you a little bit of insight on that, as we have on the back side of the Civic Center during heavy rain events, the drain that's down there can get overwhelmed and it causes backup inside of the building. So if we have heavy rain events where we're getting a lot of rain at one time, it floods the existing rink floor. So building out on that, increasing the storm sewer pipe from that drain to the manhole, just to try to capture some of that additional rainwater.
I remember a high school graduation that was interrupted due to a flood event.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, any questions on the Civic Center site?
The transfer switch for the future generator, is that future generator something we need to have on a list because this is a storm shelter?
We will have it as an add alternate, and we're hoping that we can add it back to the project. Mm-hmm. But yeah, ideally, knowing that is our main storm shelter, and with the proximity to the trailer park, it would be having emergency backup at that site would be preferred.
Thank you.
Moving on to the VFW arena. So again, building renovations in this bid package include the resurfacing area, the mechanical rooms, the new ice plant room, electrical room, storage room, and an equipment mezzanine. Addition of the new resurfacing room with ice melt pit. Structural repairs to the foundation and the masonry walls on the northeast corner of the existing building. One thing that we found out as we were going through this process is there was some step cracking on the northeast corner, and the foundation of the building has failed in that portion, so we have to replace that existing wall. Again, more door upgrades, just a combination of replacing doors and slabs and frames and hardware. Mechanical system upgrades include replacing the existing boiler and pumps and the existing piping, air handling units with a dedicated outside air supply and new ductwork and piping, new dehumidification system, replacement of the unit heaters in the locker rooms, bathrooms, referees room, and storage room. And then electrical upgrades, upgrade the electrical system, new lighting in the mechanical, vestibules, electrical, storage, and resurfacing room, power to the new equipment room, fire alarm upgrades on the exterior of the building. It'll be regrading on the south side of the building, new sidewalks from the south entrance to the parking lot, addition of a new paved fire lane on the northwest corner of the building, and then a mill and overlay of the existing parking lot. And that's kind of where we've have the scope dialed down for now between the two facilities. Going off estimated budget numbers, we feel that those are the projects that we'll be able to include in the scope. And I'll turn it over to Tom, and he'll kind of go through some of the budget numbers and then talk about the ad alternates.
Yeah, thank you. So if you want to go to the next page, so I kind of broke it out. The overall budget, obviously, we thankfully have the addition of the Mighty Ducks grant, so we've put that in. So our overall budget is just shy of $13 million. Then I kind of broke out the bid package 1, which those are already awarded. Subcontracts are in the submittal, or are executed, and they are in the submittal process right now, gearing up to kind of start here in April. Bid package 2, again, this is the design development, which means that the drawings are about 60% complete. As GLG got to that point, we start putting numbers to it just to kind of see. And really the intent is these numbers are kind of a check number. Are we, at this stage, we're not worried about being right on budget, but are we on target? As you can see, we're 3.7% within the budget right now. Now, we love to be at 0, but 0 to 5 is kind of the target we're trying to shoot for. One thing to understand as well, too, is we got about a 2% design contingency still in here at that point, so then that brings that 3.7 down to kind of that 2% in that range. So, we're feeling, really when we're looking at these numbers, the intent is, do big decisions need to be made? Do big conversations need to happen? At 3.7%, we're not done. We're not quite there yet, but it's attainable, and we still got a few more rocks to kind of flip over as the design progresses, type of thing. So, before we get into alternates, any questions on that? Okay, we did put a couple alternates together. One, the generator that you talked about. So, to add that in at another point in time, that'd be about $116,000. At the VFW, we put a couple alternates together. Really the intent is just so everybody understands what kind of dollars we're talking about with those. So as you see, we're right there on the base bid. To do a full roof replacement would be kind of in that $1.5, $1.6 million cost range. As we're going through this process, collectively as a design team and a construction team, we're always looking at what other options are there. There is an option of an elastomeric roof coating that could be put over the top of the existing roof. It is, in comparison to a full roof replacement, it is a Band-Aid fix, but it does add anywhere from 10 to 20 years kind of onto that roof. In comparison, that's about $145,000 versus the 1.5. Once you start with that, about every 10 to 15 years, you would do another coat on top of it, which would add you another 10 to 15 years. So I'm not saying it's the best option, it's an option, type of thing. So the other is a full parking lot replacement, kind of the existing parking lot, and then extending that parking lot closer to the building just to add more parking. And right now, the parking lot and the building aren't parallel to one another, so it's kind of filling that wedge a little bit. Approximate cost of that would be about $463,000, kind of in that aspect. So again, as we progress forward, some of the next steps is we're going to be looking for some deductive alternates as well as some additional alternates. So when we get to the final bids, if all the numbers come in better than expected, we can take an add alternate or two, or if it goes the other way, we have a deductive alternate that we're kind of ready, queued up and ready to go. So that's kind of some of the things that will be happening in the next couple of weeks, is kind of identifying those. So, any questions on the dollars at this point? Or scope?
Any questions for construction engineers or JLG? All right, I see none. Okay. Thank you for presenting this.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Okay, let's move to item number 3, request adoption of preferred growth rate for the city of East Grand Forks. Teri Kouba with the MPO.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity to get you guys' feedback on this newest project we're working on. Basically, where the MPO comes in is we're looking for support data as we move forward with our Metropolitan Transportation Plan. Part of that support data is getting what we call socioeconomic. So it's your population, it's your housing, households, it's your job growth, it's growth out to 2055. We also have a midterm of 2040 because once we get all this data, we're gonna be putting this into our traffic demand model. So that's kind of what tells us what traffic's gonna be doing out into the future, as well as being able to kind of give us idea of what are kind of those need projects in our transportation network throughout the MPO area. So we can have Dave here with SRF, and unfortunately Mark could not make it tonight. He's with Praxis here in Grand Forks. I'm going to let Dave here take it from there and kind of give you an idea of all the data that we've felt has happened and where we're looking at what it's saying.
Yeah, thanks, Teri. Thanks, President and members of the council. I think Mark may be here. I thought I saw him online, so if he is, he can chime in. But I know we're under a time crunch too, so we'll try to breeze through this and get to the good stuff. Main goal for tonight is to recommend a preferred year 2055 forecast and annual growth rate to adopt for East Grand Forks. So we've created a couple of scenarios. We're calling one a baseline scenario, and then we did a low and a high as well. And just want to get your feedback on that. So as Teri mentioned, we can move forward and develop the more detailed socioeconomic estimates and then tie that to the TAZ allocation. She talked about the study purpose, so I won't belabor this, but essentially it's a connection between the land use plans, the comprehensive plans, and then that long-range MTP. So each community has a land use plan. That's great. It tells us how we'd like to grow, but it doesn't really tell us how much we could expect to grow and where and when. So this is kind of adding a layer onto that. A little bit on the study process. As I mentioned, we've developed 3 forecast scenarios. Once we have the preferred alternative, we'll move into the socioeconomic detail. And then the second phase of this is the TAZ allocation. So it's going, looking at those different zones across the city, both cities throughout the region, and allocating population, households, and employment to those areas. I'll let Mark talk a little bit about our engagement framework. We've done a little bit of outreach for this and what we've heard from the community so far. Mark, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, can you see the slides?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can.
Just gonna see if we can pull them up so we can see them here.
Oh, maybe we were. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we weren't sharing them.
No, it looked fine to me.
Okay, you can see it.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I'm overworking it.
No, you're fine. So we'll just go back to this one, and Mark can talk briefly about the. Oops, I click on here. I'll just go this way. The focus groups primarily.
Yeah, we did 4 focus groups online. 26 people participated. Very good turnout from East Grand Forks. Thanks to Nancy Ellis. Matt, I think, just asked about, their thoughts on input trends on the around the region, the propensity for growth in the area, and then literally what their prediction was. And so if you look at these concentric circles, of course, the project management team in the middle there is the core group leading this, and then we've got a steering committee to review this, which is a broader group including economic development folks and Chamber of Commerce. And then the focus groups was casting a little bit wider net than that to get another 25, 26 people.
I'm going to skip over those graphs, and maybe you can just give us a little bit of the contextual factors and what we heard from the focus groups.
Yeah, so I think, just the point here is looking at the key things, the inputs, what's the situation, The region is generally growth positive. We know the census data tends to be off for East Grand Forks and Grand Forks. We saw a 7% upward adjustment in 2010 after the actual count, then another 8% after COVID. And so generally we've seen growth positive trends, and that's into a region that has seen a lot of negative economic shocks to base closures, the flood, and a lot of negativity there. So that's important to keep in mind. And so when we think about this type of model, really what we're looking at, we're starting with these age groups and projecting those forward, and then layering in migration, both immigration and domestic migration, people moving in from the region. And so on the next one, the age structure for East Grand Forks is generally positive. There's a lot of kids in the region. There's a lot of above average numbers of people, 35 to 45. So that tends to fuel a positive growth projection. And then we start to think about the broader factors in the economy to decide, to what degree do we think there will be positive migration? And so that's the extent of whether the manufacturing economy will continue to grow. It's up 600 jobs in the last 4 years in the two-county area. Looking at healthcare and the turnaround there, that's actually been a headwind to the region. If that changes, that'll fuel some growth. The Air Force Base, we think that'll be pretty stable based on what we've heard. And then as well, just the communities investing in amenities. We just saw a great project at East Grand Forks. So both communities have seen a concerted strategy to try to attract people and to invest in making the place a better place to live. So the focus group feedback was really good growth with that, looking at the UES sector. They saw housing as a critical barrier, potential thing that will slow growth down. And then, I think the last one there, yeah, hit that one. I think another key point relative to East Grand Forks was a lot of discussion that most of the growth is happening on the Grand Forks side. I think a lot of that input did come from the folks, the business people in East Grand Forks, stating that they weren't negative about East Grand Forks, but I think we're just saying it was more stagnant, a little bit more flat. So I think that was a key takeaway. And then really the last item here, maybe from the focus groups that sums it up is, we asked literally, what's your prediction on a 1 to 7 scale? And so you can see here, 60% of people said 5, sort of a very Midwestern viewpoint, just a little bit above average. But that was really the core takeaway, both from the steering group and the focus groups, was steady growth, future prediction is steady growth, but nothing crazy. And then I think for East Grand Forks, it was a lot of discussion around potential housing constraints and potential ways that East Grand Forks may capture maybe more so of that growth, considering the positive trends regionally and economically.
Thanks, Mark. I realize we're a little out of order here. Obviously, we've clearly rehearsed this, but I wanted to jump back here as you're talking about trends, the historical population trends. So we did look at the average annual growth rate. If you look at the last 35 years for East Grand Forks, it's pretty small. If you look at the period 2001 or 2024, looks a little bit better, and then it's dropped down again. Mark did mention some of the issues with the census and the intercensal estimates, and anytime you're getting examples from small populations. But I think this is important to keep in mind. So then if we move forward to our forecasts, the 0.6% rate from our baseline scenario is what aligns pretty well with what we saw from 2001 to 2024. I will say that we developed these forecasts at our regional level, and then they kind of spit out numbers for each community. Grand Forks adopted or recommended for adoption an annual growth rate of 0.8% last night. And there was some discussion about the 0.6 for East Grand Forks, which is funny because it wasn't really their job to consider that. But there is some kind of back and forth here, and needs to be some thinking about how these projections kind of relate to one another. As a steering committee, we did come out of that with a recommendation of 0.6%. I know Nancy's not here today, but she was really comfortable with that. It's a little bit lower than what you have in your current land use plan right now, but it aligns pretty well with what we've seen for the last 25 years or so. So what does that mean? Overall, it's a 30-year change of about plus 1,700 or 19% growth. Over 30 years. So what we're looking for from you as a group is just simply a yay or nay confirmation on that 0.6% average annual growth rate, or something else if there needs to be any discussion.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments on the topic? Mayor?
I mean, if you're looking for a nod to stay at the 0.6, I would say stay at the 0.6. And go
Easy
from there.
enough. That's kind of what we figured.
Yeah, so, yep.
I did mention last night at Grand Forks that with a smaller population, up or down a few fractions of a percentage point, it's not going to have a huge impact for East Grand Forks. But we're comfortable with that, and it's good to hear that you are too. So.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Mark.
See ya.
All right, you're going to close that? Sure. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on then to item number 4, request one-off residential property tax abatements. Ms. Brockling.
We were alerted of a tax abatement that was within the normal abatement process. It skipped due to a tax rebate that they get from the state for a veterans discount. We were not aware of it, so it was not an intentional reason to skip it. So we're looking to see if we can do just a one-off to include it. This would be retroactive for the year 2024. We are not able to include it as part of this year's normal approval process because they had signaled interest in selling the house. Now, we don't know when they're going to sell the house. So the school district brought this to their board for feedback, and they gave a tentative approval, and the county is going to review on the 17th to discuss it. So is there interest in the council to do this, or are there any thoughts or concerns?
Thanks, Maggie. Any comments or questions from the council? Mayor?
I think you include it. Just it was a mistake. Go back and correct it and move on.
Okay, any further comments? All right, thank you. Okay, let's move on to item number 5, request to advertise for administrative assistant. Mr. Stordahl.
Thank you, Mr. President, Council, Mayor. So following the resignation of our Public Works Supervisor in 2025, we took a look at we reviewed the departmental operations and how we could streamline things. We found that the structure that we'd set up in 2023, when Mr. King had resigned, wasn't really functioning as efficiently as we intended it to. There was this inconsistent communication between staff and the supervisors, the way that we had it set up. And then there was gaps in the responsiveness to the public as far as when they would call in and they had inquiries about different things. There wasn't always somebody in the office at the time. So what we're proposing now is to do another bit of a restructure and reinstate the administrative position and revise the role of the Public Works Supervisor. I'll be talking about that at a later date, bringing that forward to council. But tonight, we're requesting council authorization to advertise and recruit for an administrative assistant. It's on the city's pay plan at a grade 10. The total annual budget impact with benefits is $72,759. And the funding for the position is included in the approved 2026 city budget. So, any questions?
Mayor Olsted.
You touch base, right now you have a temporary person, correct?
Yes.
Kind of touch base on that, so it's not something that's been sitting idle. We're still spending money on that position.
Correct. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes. We do have a temp person in there right now, and we've moved up our foreman person to the supervisor. It's working out really well. He's doing the job, what's needed for the job, but it's a little bit tricky right now because of union. So he's still classified as a foreman, but basically doing the supervisory role as it was done prior to 2023. So.
Okay. Any questions for Jason? Yeah. Go ahead.
I think I understand you. So right now you're asking for one position,
Yep.
but later you might ask for another one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Right now it's the administrative assistant,
Correct. Yep.
and then later you'll have a public works.
Supervisor. Yep. You got
We're
it.
not talking about that right now.
No.
Okay.
I mean, you can ask questions
Yeah,
about
no.
it, but we don't have.
Okay,
Yep.
I understand.
So we'll probably see the supervisor pay decrease.
That's what we're thinking. It'll probably decrease.
'Cause there'll
And
be
then
less
there'll
duties,
be,
right?
the foreman position may go away
Okay.
altogether, so.
Makes sense.
Jason, is this this structure, this kind of revised org chart that we're talking about, is this a return to what we had in place a few years ago?
Yep. Prior to 2023, this is what we had.
Okay.
And it did seem to work really good. I guess we were just trying to look at ways to improve things, but also have some savings in there by eliminating one of the positions. What happened was when we eliminated the admin assistant, the lead operator was no more. That turned into a foreman that could do a lot of the office duties and answer phone calls. The supervisor kind of went down a grade because they lost some of their duties to that foreman, so they kind of split the duties basically in effect. And yeah.
Sure. And so if I understand right, the admin assistant will focus on a lot of the paperwork, the accounting, payroll, purchase requests, and then that'll free up the foreman or potentially your supervisor to be more boots on the ground? Is that
Correct.
That's
Yep.
like the division of responsibilities there?
Yep, there'll still be some overlap because they both work on like work order stuff, purchasing stuff for the shop, and those type of things, which take up a lot of time. The admin assistant can do most of that on their own, but there is a little bit overlap there in that. And sometimes with payroll as well, there might be some overlap. And obviously the phone calls, inquiries, if people are coming in either one of them can deal with that. Phone calls, I'm also answering phone calls as well, so the three of us will be shared in that, but does that answer your question?
I think so, yeah. Yep, that's helpful. Okay, any other questions for Mr. Stordahl? Okay, I see none, all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I believe that takes us to the end of our agenda here. So with that, we'd be looking for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Puck-Shuvinsky. Is there a second? Second by Riepel. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes and meeting is closed. Thank you, everyone.